Hey everyone, in this video we are going to build a very simple Android application to demonstrate CRUD operations. That means we are going to create, read, update and delete our data which can be stored in Parse server as Parse object. And this would be continuation of my previous video where I have built login and user registration part of this app. Click the I button to watch my previous video. Now let's right click on res folder and create a new Android resource directory, and we set the resource type to menu, and inside that menu resource directory we add a menu resource file. We name it main menu. First, let us go to main menu.xml file. Here we can add the options in our menu. First option will be our logout option. We give it an ID logout_menu. We give it a title logout. And to prevent it from showing to our action bar, we write show as action to never. And the next item will be add item. We give it an ID add underscore item underscore menu. We give it a title add item. Now here we can see the options we have created for our menu, logout and add item. Let us go to user_activity.java file, and here we write on create options menu. And we set the return to true. Here we're going to inflate the menu that we have created right now, and we write get menu inflator dot inflate, and then we pass the layout that we have created just now, r.menu.main menu, comma menu. And then we write on options item selected. This will set the action when we'll select any item in our menu. And we write int id equals item dot get item id, and we run a switch statement, and we put the first case r.id.logout_menu. That means when the logout option is selected, we are going to log out the Parse user. We will copy and paste our previous code. and we apply break, and the next case will be r.id.add_item_menu, and this will help us to add item to our list that we'll create in future. Now let's toast a message. Let's say add a new item, then we apply break. Now let's run the project to see whether the menu options is working or not. We log into our user that we have previously created. The username is John and the password is 1234. We hit login. We logged into the account. Now we go to the menu and click on add item, and we see the toast message, and now we try to log out. The logout is successful. We go to activity_user.xml file. Now we delete the previous code that we have created in our last video, and now we create our list view. Here we write list view, give it the width to match parent and the height to match parent, and we give it an ID, list view. Go to user_activity.java file. Now here we are going to set up our add item option in our menu. We delete our previous toast message, and we here want to create a alert dialog. We write alert dialog.builder, builder equals new alert dialog.builder. We pass the context and we create one edit text. Edit text, we name this edit text note edit text equals new edit text. We pass the context, and then we are going to build our alert dialog. We write builder.set title. We give a title, write a note. Now we are going to set our view, that is note edit text, and then we are going to set our positive button. We name our positive button save, and then we implement all click listener. Here we are going to create our object that will help us to store our desirable data. We write parse object note equals new parse object. We give a class name. We give note. We write note dot put. Now we need to put a string key. We write username and we get the value from parse user dot get current user dot get username. Here we are going to get the username. Next we write note.put. Now we want to put the string key for our note. We write note and we are going to put the value note edit text dot get text dot to string. Next we are going to save this note object. We write note.save in background. We implement our callback method. Now we write if e equals null. That means there is no exception, there is no error. We toast a message. We write note saved successfully. Else, again we are going to toast a message that will say oops, try again later. And then we are going to set our negative button of our alert dialog. We name out negative button cancel. We implement our on-click listener. And here we are going to dismiss our dialog. We write dialog.cancel. And to show the alert dialog, we write .show semicolon. Before we run our program, we delete our previous code from our previous video, that is our logout button and our welcome text view. Now we run our project. Here we log into our user that we have created. The username is John. And you know the password 1234. We hit login. Now we are going to add our desirable item. We go to our menu. We hit add item. And here we write a note. Let's say California. Now we save our note. We see a toast message. The next we write Texas. Again we save our note. We see the toast message, note saved successfully. And again we write Florida and save it. And this will be saved in our Parse server, and we can see it in our Parse dashboard. Let's refresh our Parse dashboard. And here we can see the notes that we have created. that is Florida, Texas and California, and we got it from our username John. Now let's declare our list view. We write list view, then our array list, then our array adapter, now inside the onCreate method we write list view equals find view by id r.id dot list view. Now to get the objects that we have created, we need to write parse query. Inside the angle bracket we write parse object, we name it query equals new parse query, and here we need to mention the class name, that is note, and the first query is where equal to, we put the string key username and we get the username value from parse user dot get current user dot get username. We put our next query, we write query dot order by descending, and we put the string key updated at. Now again we write query dot find in background. Now we implement the callback method. First we initialize our array list, we write array list equal to new array list, and now we are going to run a for loop to fetch every object. Here we write array list dot add object dot get, we give the string key, that is note, we convert it to string. Now let's set up our array adapter. We write adapter equals new array adapter, we pass the context, that is user activity dot this, and we need to get our layout of our list view. We write android dot r dot layout dot simple list item 1, and again we pass our array list. Here we need to set the adapter of our list view to the array adapter. To restart our user activity after adding an item, we write intent 1 equals new intent. Here we write user activity dot this to user activity dot class. Now we destroy our user activity and start again. Now let's run the project to see whether our data that we have added previously can be read or not. So we log into our user. The username is John and the password 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we can see the data that we have added previously. Here we can add a new item and we name it Georgia. We save it and we can see the name Georgia appear in our list. Again, we add another, say Alaska. We save it and we can see Alaska in our list. Again, we add another item, say Arizona, and save it. We can say Arizona too. To update a specific object in our list view, we need to know which object user wants to update. Therefore, we need to write inside our onCreate method list view dot set on item click listener new on item click listener. Now we need to find out the object ID of the specific object. So we again run a query dot where equal to the string key, that is username, and the value we get from parse user dot get current user dot get username. And next query dot where equal to we get the note string key and we get it from array list get position. Then again query, we set the limit to 1 and now query dot find in background. We need to implement the callback method. Now let's declare a string where we will hold our object ID. We write string object ID equals blank. Then we run a for loop parse object colon objects. Here we will fetch the object, the specific object dot get object ID. Now we run a query based on our object ID. We write query dot get in background and we pass the object ID and we implement the callback method. And here we need to check whether there is error or not. If there is no error, then we will pop up an alert dialog. We want to have an edit text inside our alert dialog. We set the text of the edit text, not edit text, set text to the object dot get. The string key is not to string. Now we build our alert dialog. Builder.setTitle. We set the title update not. We set the view, that is not edit text. We set our positive button and name it save, and we implement on-click listener. Now inside of the on-click listener, we put the updated value of our object. We write object dot put, we give the string key not, and the value we get it from user, that is not edit text dot get text to string, and we write object dot save in background. Again we implement the callback method, and here if everything goes well and if e equals to null, then we can toast a message. And the message is not updated successfully. Now let us separate out the code in which we are refreshing the user activity or restarting the user activity in a different method. We write private void refresh activity, and we copy and paste this inside our refresh activity, and we call the refresh activity when the object is created and again when the object is updated. Else, if there is any error, we toast and write oops, try again later. And we set our negative button to cancel, and we implement on-click listener method, and here we are going to dismiss our alert dialog.cancel, and lastly we're going to show the alert dialog. And another else statement we need to give here, we write toast and we just toast out the error message by writing e dot get message. Now let us run the project to update a specific object. We log into our user that we have created previously, John, the username 1234, the password. We log in, we find all of our object, we see the values of our object, and let's try to change by tapping any one of the note. We see we tapped Alaska, and let's change Alaska to, let's say, Nevada, and save it once again. We see the toast message, not updated successfully. We see here Nevada, and we don't see Alaska here. And again we change Georgia to Michigan. Let's save and see. We see Michigan, but we don't see Georgia. When we long press an item in the list, we want to delete that specific object. We write list view dot set on item long click listener, new on item long click listener. We write return to true, and above it we write parse query. Inside the angle bracket we write parse object query is equals to new parse query, and we mention the name of the class. Here we want to query and find out the object ID, so we write query dot where equal to, we specify the key username and the value we get it from parse user dot get current user dot get username, and again we write query dot where equal to note comma array list dot get position. Again we write query dot set limit to 1 and query dot find in background, new find in background callback. We fetch the object ID inside a string. We write string object ID equals empty. We loop through and fetch every object. In this case we will fetch only one object. Object ID equals object dot get object ID, and now again we query And now we are going to query using our object ID. We write query dot get in background. We pass the object ID, new getting background callback, and inside this method we write if equals null. If there is no error, then we pop out an alert dialog. We set the title delete this note. We set the message are you sure? Question mark. And we set the positive button and we name the positive button yes, and we implement onClickListener method, and inside it we write object dot delete in background. Again we implement the callback method, and inside that if there is no error, equals null, then we write toast. We write a toast message, and the message is note is deleted. Else we write another toast message, oops, try again later. And we have added our refresh activity to restart our activity. And we set the negative button no. We implement the onClick method. Here we displace the alert dialog, and again we show the alert dialog. Another else statement is there. Again we toast a message, and we pass get message. Now let's run the project. And log into the user that we have created. Now let's long press an item, say Nevada, and here we see the alert dialog, and we press yes button and see we don't see Nevada. Again we want to delete Texas. Texas is deleted. Finally, we log out. We can also do the CRUD operation using the Parse dashboard. We can read data from our Parse dashboard, and we can add data by clicking the plus button, and inside the note field we write this note is from Parse dashboard. And we mention the username John, and let's start the activity and see the changes. Here we can find the note that we created in our Parse dashboard. It's on the top. Again, we can update it by double clicking on it, and we add the word updated. Again, we run the activity and see the word updated is added on that node. And also we can delete this node by simply going to the top right hand side of the corner by selecting it and delete this row option, and yes, delete. So we have successfully deleted the note, and that's how it's done.